everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of A Fern Between Us. And tonight we have a special guest, one of our third members of the team, Liliana Zavala-Padberg. And we are super excited to have her. Cheers Lily, for joining us.
Yay, thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's good. We're having a good time down here, drinking some mezcal and mostly just taking it easy and having a good time.
So for viewers that are not necessarily know all of the amazing hats that Lily wears, I do want to fill you in a little bit about that. So she is my partner in crime in the front of the house. So she's taking care of all of our tasting rooms and our staff and our wine club and so many other little things. We work together for advertising and marketing, and there's so much to running a winery. And so that's a big part of what Liliana does. But then she also is a master chocolatier. I think a lot of people that have found the winery have found her chocolates, and they are insanely amazing. So
sometimes in reverse order. Sometimes they find her chocolates and therefore find us.
Exactly. And she is also a mom of two fantastic kids, and she's a sommelier as well. She has kind of just hit all of the marks as we started the winery. And so we are super excited to talk to her, as are you guys. Some of the questions you guys have sent in have been really fun, and getting to know Lily a little bit more. So let's start with our first question. You ready?
Sounds good.
Okay. So the first question is, what was it like to move to the USA not speaking English? So that's something that some of our viewers don't even realize, is that you didn't speak English when you came to the US, which is an amazing feat that you've taught yourself, and you are so fluent and speak so beautifully. And
thank you.
and the
but I always love languages, so one of my goals was to learn language like English, Italian, like as many as I could. So it was hard moving over here, not knowing any English, and I needed to have Chris next to me all the time and come with me to the stores and help me, with every little thing. But I also kind of forced everybody to learn Spanish with me, so that was fun.
There were a lot of late nights. I remember our early broken Spanish, having fun times there.
It was tough for trying to communicate with me. It still is. If you lapse into Spanish, I'm down here flailing around and sounding like a spaz. But your inspiration and the fact that you were so brave, it makes me just go ahead and try. And I think that's a big part, is trying, right?
Yeah. Well, now that you're there, you get the chance to practice and just go for it. But I know it's really difficult. I mean, it took me a while to actually let everything that I knew come out of my mouth, because I don't know, I always, I was so embarrassed to talk English in front of Chris or Jesse or you or anyone, because I always speak Spanish to all of you. So it was difficult. It's, when you're speaking another language, you sound different.
Yeah.
And that was hard at the beginning for me to I sound so weird. And I also didn't want to say something dumb or, sound stupid. It's hard,
Yeah,
it takes a while.
Totally.
And then when we finally opened the tasting room and the guys pushed me out, you gotta work, you gotta be in front, you gotta talk to people. So then I got to practice, and that's how finally I started getting everything that I knew out.
I love it. Well, and this question is actually a multi-parter. The other two parts are, how did you handle being homesick, being so far away, and you couldn't return because of your visa status, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I remember, I guess, just calling, talking to my mom and my dad as often as I could, and my family and friends. I mean, back then, are you saying back then? How did I handle that? Or now?
Both, I guess.
Yeah.
But back then is what the question.
I mean, now we have, video chats like this, so I get to see them and feel close to them that way. And we also have, a chat group. The family has a chat group, and every morning we say hello, good morning, good night, good this, good that, and I know what's happening with them all the time. They post videos and we talk. So, and with my friends, the same thing. I have a chat with my friends in Mexico. So I feel that way closer to home, thanks to technology.
Right? Yeah. And, I don't know how long Zoom has been around, but I'm really grateful for it during COVID. But back when we got started, 17 years ago when we opened the tasting room, you really just had
Telephone.
Telephone, yeah. And then, I went to Mexico every year, and we spent a month at least over there. Like, I couldn't stay for too long without visiting and going back.
Yeah.
So I went as often as I could, Chris and I, and then when we had the kids, of course, we had to take the kids to visit the family and all that stuff. And then my mom also visits me, and some of my sisters were able to come and stuff like that. So
that's always been so much fun for us too, getting to have your family come up and hang out with them, get to know them.
And they always make such good food, and we get to be part of that sometimes, and that's awesome.
I love when they come over here. It's just, my mom cooks all my favorite foods, and my sister is on top of everything. She even makes my bed. Even like I just get up and I turn around and my bed is done. Like, she's just like, she wants to have everything done for me and help me and everything. So it's super awesome when they come.
No way, that's so cool.
Oh man, right? So the final part to that first question is, what was your first impression of New Mexico?
Oh wow.
Oh boy, I thought I was in
Foreign country?
Wild West movie set.
Oh, nice.
It's like, wow, this is like going back in time a little bit. It was, I love it since the beginning. It's beautiful, the scenery, and I like it a lot. But yeah, it was wild. Like, I don't know, it was different. Like, I don't know, everything Adobe and beautiful, and I don't know. I'm from a city, so.
Yeah, a really beautiful.
Where are you taking me?
Literally to the farm.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Is it safe out here?
Yeah. All right, our next question is, how did you decide to study chocolate making?
Let's see. When Chris and Jesse were building the tasting room, one time Chris and I were touristing around Taos or whatever, and ended up in this chocolate shop, and we were talking to the master chocolatier over there, and find out that he was doing some classes, giving chocolate making classes and stuff, and I don't know, everything just clicked. Like, Chris and I just look at each other and like, oh my God, chocolate and wine, let's do this. So I signed up right away. I took classes with him, one-on-one, and that was it. It was just like pairing the chocolates with the wines and just have one more thing in common with Chris, and I wanted to be part of it and stuff like that. So.
I love that. And just a question, it sounds like either you have a baby with a rattle or Chris is got a shaker and making drinks. What is that?
Romeo likes to tap dance.
Romeo. Nice.
He's a new floor and his huge nails. Every time that he walks around, it's like, sounds like he's tap dancing or something.
That is hilarious. I was like, oh, I wonder what drink Chris is making.
That's Romeo. Tap dance. night, in the middle of the night, we just going back and forth, back and forth. Especially if it's a full moon, he gets affected by it.
Nice.
He's so in touch with the universe. It's awesome.
I'm so in touch with the earth and everything, yeah.
Nice. So, do you have a favorite Vivac wine?
Oh my gosh, no, that's hard question. I like all the wines. I don't know. I don't know if I can pick one wine.
Right?
I love.
Go ahead.
I love this rosé. It's beautiful. And I drink it a lot in the summer. But I like red wines, and I like old world style wines. So I think Vivac has that, and I find that on all the wines that these guys make, and I love them all. I don't know. It's hard to pick one.
Right? It's more of a what time of day is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, shucks, you guys.
Yeah, I know. They're so good.
You guys make great wine. I mean,
Right?
I
I know. What has been the most surprising thing about owning a winery?
Well, I guess maybe I didn't expect how vast and huge the world of wine is. So learning about wines and also learning the business side is been very surprising and amazing. I never imagined in my life that I was gonna be doing this,
Right?
running a tasting room or running a business or learning so much about wine and stuff like that. That was, I guess, very surprising for me.
Absolutely, and I think it's safe to say that the four of us continue to be surprised by aspects of owning your own business on a daily basis, right? Every time we turn around, we're like, oh, whoa, didn't anticipate dealing with that.
There's always something to learn, always. As we grow, as the business grows, there's always something to learn about the challenges and things that are changing and moving and stuff like that. So
I like the I like finding out what weird things I do like doing and what weird things, obviously there's a bunch of new things that I wanted to make wine, but I didn't want to do all the rest of that, right? But coming along with all that, there was a whole bunch of new stuff that I'm going to have to do. Some of it I really like, and that surprised me, and other parts I'm like, this again.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome. All right, and our final question is, how do you balance having kids, working for the winery, making chocolates, being a wife? You've got all of these things. How do you find balance in personal time and the ability to take care of you?
That was a hard lesson for me because at the beginning I was trying to deal with everything and do everything all at the same time, and but and I'm really bad at managing my time sometimes. So, but I mean, I'm lucky I can work from home and I can keep an eye on my kids, and I'm here, and there's always interaction with them, especially now that they're doing school from home. So it's just learning how to manage my time, and sometimes it doesn't work. I'm still learning, but I have to designate finally, like, okay, on Mondays or whatever, I'm gonna make chocolates, and that's all what I'm gonna do. And then the rest of the days, do work for Vivac or whatever, and then I try to keep my Saturdays and Sundays free so I can have more quality time with the kids and do some fun stuff with the family. And I don't know, I guess that's how I'm doing it.
Yeah, still developing, and I totally
agree.
It seems like it's different too during 2020 when everything got upended, and so I don't know about you, but it felt like all the things that I had, my good schedules, the good things I had implemented, went out the window, and suddenly I was like, I guess I'm doing work at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep, and then I'll take a nap in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
It feels to me like 2020 is like one pot stew. Like you just throw it all in there and you do all the things at the same time, rather than the good schedule.
Oh yeah, this year has been definitely even more challenging than other years, for sure. But you know, I'm glad I have my kids are super independent, and they, you know, they're doing school at home and stuff like that, but I'm here with them, and you know, they're doing their thing, I'm doing my thing, and we have lunch together, breakfast together, and stuff like that. So I love them, and they're awesome, and they're super patient also, you know, and I don't know, they're doing great.
I love it.
It's been hard this year.
Yeah. Oh,
Stress.
that's so great to hear, though, that they're doing well with the homeschooling. And of course, Maddox and Denali do the Taos Academy, which is mostly online. So that's always nice when it's an easy transition. How is Chablis doing?
She's doing okay. It was a learning curve for both of us. For me too, for her and for me, because, you know, between classes they have breaks, and then have to always remember, like, oh, you gotta log in again, you know, go back to your class, or what time is your next class, or whatever. So at the beginning it was kind of hard. Like, she missed a few classes. Like, I'm not used to like stay on top of it. Like, what's next? And you know, finally figured out a system, and she comes to me like, okay, my next class is at 10:30. Can you set up an alarm? I'm like, yes. And then we set up an alarm, and then she goes back to class and stuff like that. So we're doing great right now. But of course, she misses her friends.
Oh,
She's 4th grade, right?
4th, yeah. But she has an awesome teacher, and the teacher is having them do incredible projects and like really cool. She's awesome. She communicates with us all the time. Chablis loves her.
oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we're happy. I mean, you know, like I said, she misses being with the friends.
Absolutely. And so, as we draw to a close on your little interview, is there other stuff that's happening up there that we're missing out on? I mean, other than the election, which we're glued to our phones watching, but...
No, you're not missing out on anything. I'm in Mexico. I wish I was there.
I know, and so
We're thinking about you a lot down here.
We are, and so we did get to experience a vastly different than usual Oaxacan Day of the Dead, but it was still incredible and beautiful, and we did get to see the pictures, of course, on social media of your beautiful altar. And so I was curious, is that something that you've always grown up with since you were a kid, that you've always had an altar in the home? And did you used to also go to the graveyard? I know that's sometimes a tradition.
Yes. We didn't always have an altar at home. I actually, when I was in Mexico, I think I was the one always putting an altar in my house. But of course, you know, I grew up with that my entire life. At school, they always take, you know, day trips. Then they would take us to all the markets and go shop for calaveras and candy and everything, flowers, and it was always next to the cemetery. And we did visit the cemetery often with my family, you know, to go, you know, see whoever passed away, visit them and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a tradition that I grew up with.
I love it. I think it's such a beautiful way to honor those that have passed and keep that memory alive, and it's so
Yeah.
colorful and happy, and I think that that's such a wonderful thing to incorporate, instead of, you know, in the US everybody's dressed in all black for a funeral and mourning, and then, you know, kind of just a very personal experience of memorizing.
I don't know if that's a verb or not.
Remembering. Let's
that's
try
the verb.
actual words.
Yeah.
Those that have passed, and I like it as this big community event of let's celebrate all of the people, and it's really beautiful.
Sad but happy, you know,
Yeah.
and sad but, you know.
Yeah, it is also the way I see it. It's also it's actually a celebration of life.
Right.
Celebrating the life, the memories that you have with the people that passed away, you know, and that you love, and they're alive in your heart, and you remember all that stuff. And also, I don't know, it's just to remind you to live your life, to fully live your life and enjoy every moment with the people that live with you, that are around with you, you know, like you love your family, love your friends, have fun with them, create memories with everyone. That's what's gonna keep you alive.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
agree.
that, and I think that's a beautiful way to end our interview with us. And we love you. We miss you guys. We are loving Mexico, and we're thinking about you guys all the time.
Sweet. Well, we miss you too. Keep having fun over there. Eat tons of mole and crickets and exotic foods. The right place. Yeah, and mezcals too, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lily. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you later, guys.
Cheers, Lily.
All right. So I'm gonna move this out of the way, and that was so fun getting to like talk to them face to face.
I know.
For those of you that were not here, we got to see Chris before we went live, and so we got to see both of them. So a quick little check-in. We are at a new hotel. You'll see our fancy background. We've got lots of ferns between us. And
Ambient ferns.
Yes.
But we had ferns last time too, but
well,
you couldn't.
yeah.
And now we've got an airplane.
Hey, it's live. But we are still in Oaxaca. We are, as Lily said, we are doing all of the traditional things. We are enjoying lots and lots of moles, lots of traditional foods.
I'm on a taco mission.
And then we've been enjoying a lot of Mexican wines. We're probably going to get to that at one of these points to give an overview of some of these amazing new regions. Everybody kind of knows about Baja, but it's been really fun to explore some other things. And we are going to get into mezcal and do a educational tasting next week, so send in your questions for that. Before we get too far off subject, though, we are tasting our rosé of Cabernet.
This tastes good. I haven't had it in several weeks now. I'm really happy to be having it.
It is so good, and it's
down here we have not had. Not at every. Actually, at every hotel minus our last hotel, we had access to a refrigerator, but we were mostly in transit until then, so we didn't buy any whites or rosés. And then at our last hotel, we did buy some, but we couldn't chill them down, so we didn't drink them until we got to this hotel. And 2 days ago, we finally had our first rosé, and then we had a white.
We had a Chenin Blanc that was
Exactly.
fantastic.
So, oh man, it feels good to have a white or a rosé.
Yes, it does. And I feel like this is a great rosé that goes really well with mole. And some of those bolder flavors that you get in Mexican food. So I think that's really interesting. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on, because we have talked about the Rosé of Cab multiple times on the show, but talking about how rosé developed, I think, is kind of a fun aspect. And a lot of people don't realize that the Greeks were making rosé, but it was by accident because they did a field blend. And so it was light in color, It wasn't super tannic. They also would water their wines down.
Yeah.
Often they put drugs in them, so.
So they actually packed a punch.
Which, by the way, we were looking at tours of Oaxaca, and one of them did include some special mushrooms if you were inclined. So, you never know what we're up to down here. It was spiritual. I tell you, it was spiritual. But so then, the big place that a lot of people think of as the birthplace of rosé is the southern part of France, Provence. And that's also where, we really fell in love with rosé. We had been taught about rosés in our sommelier classes and fell in love with Tavel, which, if you haven't experienced, is one of the best in the entire world, that region. And on our honeymoon, we started drinking rosé all day, literally.
Oh yeah.
Did you want to talk about your inspiration there, or are you just along for the ride?
I don't know. I'm not along for the ride. Fell in love. I mean, I knew I liked rosé anyway, but when we're down there on the honeymoon or whatever, I came back and I was like, dude, Chris, I'm sorry, but we've got to make a rosé because that stuff is good. But at that time, it was, everybody that wanted rosé wanted, white zin, and we didn't want to make that. And we knew if we made a rosé, it wasn't going to sell. It would just be for us, a feather in the cap, or I don't know what, just because we like it. And we went ahead and did it anyway, and it didn't sell. We were right, it didn't sell. People that would have liked it wouldn't try it, and people that wanted rosé didn't like it, so
they wanted something sweet.
Yeah, they wanted something nice and sweet, or at least decently sweet or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So, but now we make two. Rosé, obviously, as you guys know, has just exploded, and
as of the 2000s, it really
our rosé has gotten more and more popular. Yeah. I mean, our rosé Sangiovese, I think, was our biggest
fantastic
seller, or really close to it, in 2017 into 18, and then we made this in 2019. And is that right? Yeah, 2019 for the first time. And then
which I love having too.
Yeah.
The Sangiovese one is lighter. It's a little more acidic. Has some
I think
different
this
attributes.
is more acidic.
Really?
Yeah, this is more acidic.
Far more full-bodied, and I feel like the fruit can handle the acid. But
this is more acidic for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
true.
Well, maybe in the pH testing, but in the palate, what it comes across, if you're tasting the Rosé of Sangiovese, it's more floral aromas and lighter fruit, and it reminds me much more of a Provence Rosé.
Yeah.
It borders a little bit more on a Rosado from Spain. In the boldness of the fruit characteristics. I love having them both. Anyway, so it's more acidic, but I find it very different. Anyway, so in the 2000s, of course, it became a boom to drink rosé, and evidently social media got really involved, and that was a big part of why it became such a thing, which I didn't realize. And there was a guy, Josh something or other, Ostrovsky. I'm clearly butchering that name, and I didn't know about him before Googling this. Evidently he made a statement on his show. He's a comedian, and he had a social media show, and he talked about how rosé is like puppies, and if you don't like them, you're a monster. And it caught on. And
I like that.
So evidently, everybody went wild for rosé, and there was also a real demarcation in sommeliers that would rather die than give you a suggestion of a pink bottle, and now that is absolutely a part of the menu. And even Romane Conti has started a new brand that makes rosés. So that's
to me, it's the best food pairing wine. It's mean, I don't know. It's so good on so many levels. It's like a red wine drinker's white wine, or
for sure.
I don't know. I think it's complex and deep and awesome and light still and refreshing. I don't know. It's really good all the way around.
You know what's interesting is there's that element that we keep tasting in Mexican wines that's salty.
Yeah.
And I taste it in this. I taste a little of that saltiness, which I hadn't previously paid attention to.
Maybe it's the acidity.
What a smartass. Anyway, next time we see you, we will be in a new town. We are headed toward the ocean and Puerto Escondido, and
Still in the state of Oaxaca, down on the beach.
should be interesting. And we're going.
Warmer weather.
Yes. It was freezing today. It was 82 degrees.
I don't know if you guys know, but like Mexico is high. The central part of Mexico. No, not high. Mexico is like high altitude. That's what I mean to say. I think we're at 6,000 feet here. Puebla is 7,000 feet. I mean, like, and we pass by
cool
in
nights.
between these two towns, which aren't that far apart. We pass by North America's third tallest mountain and the world's second tallest volcano, and it tops out around 18,000 something feet.
It's pretty
there is a
interesting.
lot. There's glaciers on it. I mean, we saw several snow-capped glacier mountains that are really, really, really high here. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool in the evening, cool in the day. It doesn't get that hot. I mean,
It was 82, but it
82,
was
yeah.
beautiful 82.
but it also doesn't get that
That
much colder than that too. So 80,
All right.
whatever.
They don't need a blow-by-blow of the weather report. Anyway.
It's the climate report.
Ay, ay, ay. So we will be talking about mezcal. So any questions you have, which I had a ton before I did my first mezcal tasting the other day, so send them in. We're going to be also visiting a mezcal.
A palenque.
A palenque.
They call them a palenque and
tasting
mezcalery,
room.
the
Yeah.
distillery that makes mezcal.
Yeah, so we'll have lots to report on that. Send us your questions. We'll ask them for you. And make sure to buy lots and lots of wine, because I know you guys are in a hot seat up there. We feel like a little removed being down here, but the next few days as the election folds out, everybody, regardless of your views, needs wine. So cheers, you guys. Thanks for tuning in and keeping track of us.
Salud. Thank you guys. Have a good one.